Let me tell you something. If you ever want to see what unchecked power looks like, don't bother reading history books. Just move into a neighborhood with an HO. A run by someone who thinks they're a minor god. I mean, you think you've had bad neighbors? Try this on for size for 3 straight weeks, every single Tuesday at exactly 6 a.m. My trash can got obliterated. And not by a bear, not by some stray dog. No, by a 58-year-old woman named Bethany Thornfield, president of our HOA, who would ram her white Lexus into my bin like it owed her money. You want to know what despair smells like? Imagine coffee grounds and banana peels splattered across your driveway, mixed with motor oil and humiliation all before sunrise. That was my introduction to Willowbrook Estates, a place I moved to thinking it would be a fresh start for my daughter and me after losing my wife to cancer. I figured, hey, safe streets, good schools, maybe some peace for Savannah's senior year. Turns out I bought us front row seats to a one-woman power trip. See? I'm Lucian Delroy, union electrician, hands permanently nicked and stained from 20 years crawling through crawl spaces fixing what's broken. You'd think that kind of job would prepare you for anything. But nothing, and I mean nothing, wires you for the electrical storm of Bethany Thornfield. Let me set the scene. Bethany silver hair, never a strand out of place, even in a hurricane. Cardigans that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. She'd glide around in that spotless Lexus heels, tapping out a countdown to doom. 8 years running the HOA, and by the time I got there, it was basically the United States of Bethany. She ran this neighborhood the way a medieval queen runs a castle by decree and by fear. The first time my trash can fell victim, I chalked it up to chance. The second time, I started to wonder. The third, I knew I was under attack. Mrs. Cecilia, my neighbor, whispered to me one morning. She used her car, I saw from my kitchen window, and then scurried away like Bethany would strike her down for talking. Now here's where it went from annoying to war. Every week, same routine. Bethany's Lexus, same time, same destructive parade. Then I started getting citations, $75 for unsightly debris, as if I put out the trash just to decorate my own driveway. She'd walk around with a measuring tape my grass a quarter inch too long, my garden hose visible from the street mailbox numbers improperly positioned. It was like living under occupation, and my daughter. She started waking up early to avoid seeing the carnage, just trying to hold on to a sense of normal. So I did what I do best: surveillance. Installed a camera, caught her red handed. And, what really stoked my fire, she'd ram the can, sit there for a half minute, and admire her work before driving off. I started asking around. Turns out 7 families had moved out in 3 years, all after being selected by Bethany for the full treatment. Always the same types: minorities, single parents, people new enough not to know their rights. I realized this wasn't about trash, it was about control. And Bethany had no clue she'd finally picked the wrong guy to mess with. Week 5, I get hit with her citation blitz. Picture this: I'm ankle deep in spilled garbage, and here she comes. Heels clicking, smile sharp as a dentist's drill. Mr. Delra, she says, always got my name wrong on purpose. We have a serious problem. Hands me a $125 citation for deliberate noncompliance and ongoing neighborhood disruption. The audacity. She's the one ramming my trash, and now I'm the criminal. And then with a smile, like a crack in a frozen pond, she threatens my daughter's future. Property liens are expensive to resolve. I'd hate to see your daughter's college plans disrupted by foreclosure proceedings. That's when I realized this wasn't just about garbage. This was personal. And I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. That night, I dug through the HOA bylaws flashlight in one hand, rage in the other. Found all kinds of vague language, nothing specific. All subjective, designed for selective enforcement. Took a walk and measured every neighbor's trash bin. Every single one was just like mine. But Only 5 families ever got citations. Minorities, single parents, folks she figured couldn't fight back. Then, I found Bethany's own violations, 17 of them. Unauthorized rose trellis, fancy mailbox, painted address numbers. Documented it all, met with the other problem families. Mrs. Cecilia, terrified but determined, told me Bethany once threatened her for hanging up wind chimes, called them unfit for community standards. The Rodriguez family had stories too. Random inspections, children feeling unwelcome. So I flipped the script, filed formal complaints using her own paperwork, requested a board meeting about her illegal decorations, knowing she couldn't approve herself without exposing her hypocrisy. That's when things started to turn. The night before the meeting, I watched from my window as Bethany, by flashlight, frantically dismantled her own garden, trying to erase the evidence. But Mrs. Cecilia, bless her, caught it all on video. At the emergency board meeting, Bethany tried to steamroll us, but evidence doesn't lie. Videos, photos, testimonies. Her panic was a beautiful thing to watch. She tried to rewrite the rules, but her desperation only gave me more room to maneuver. The new bylaws she rushed through actually made it easier for me to install infrastructure modifications for security purposes, the perfect loophole. But Bethany wasn't done. Oh no. Next came no guest parking rules right before Savannah's weekly study group. Her friends, good kids, started leaving early, worried about getting ticketed or towed. Bethany even installed floodlights, turned my driveway into an interrogation chamber. My daughter's senior year was getting wrecked by this one woman's vendetta. Time for a real solution. My mentor always said, don't just patch the system, find the component that keeps failing and fix it for good. So I went to the construction supply store, found Jake, a union brother. Told him I needed a trash can that could stop a 4,000-pound Lexus at 15 miles per hour. He grinned, polymer concrete with a steel rebar core. Neighbor won't know till they hit it. That was my twist. Replace my plastic bin with a steel and concrete monster camouflaged as the original. Physics would do what the law never could. Bethany tried one last dirty trick called city code enforcement, reported me for unpermitted electrical modifications. The inspector came, looked around, and ended up recommending my work as a model for the county. Her face, when she heard that, I swear it could have curdled milk. Then the real fun began. One final property lien, $1,200 in fake violations backdated, so she could claim I owed for things the previous owner did. Same threats sent to every family who dared help me. Cecilia, the Rodriguezes, the Washingtons. But her paperwork was sloppy wrong, property descriptions impossible, violation dates, forged signatures. She was in so deep, she didn't notice she was building a case file for us. The neighborhood came together. We made my installation 4 feet of rebar sunk into bedrock, filled with polymer concrete plastic shell on the outside. To the untrained eye, just another trash bin. But it weighed 800 pounds, and it wasn't going anywhere. We documented everything, our little resistant cell, ready for the final showdown. Tuesday, 6:47 a.m., the neighborhood held its breath. Bethany's Lexus, same speed, same arrogance, barreled straight into my new trash can. You could feel the impact in your chest. Metal screamed, glass shattered. The Lexus stopped dead. My trash can, not a scratch. Bethany stumbled out, blood trickling from her nose. Cardigan torn, disbelief etched deep on her face. She actually said it out loud. This is concrete. The moment of realization priceless. Police, paramedics, neighbors all gathered. Bethany tried to blame me, claimed I'd set a trap. But her own admission, her own words, she'd been intentionally hitting my bin for weeks. Mrs. Cecilia had footage time-stamped every single incident. Her insurance claim was dead on arrival. Intentional acts aren't covered. She was suddenly looking at criminal charges instead of a new bumper. Bethany cornered, went scorched earth. Filed complaints at my job, accused me of theft, reported me for running an unlicensed business. But all her reports only got me praise from city inspectors. She even tried to extort the whole neighborhood $2,400 emergency assessment to cover legal and infrastructure expenses. Problem was, she hadn't paid her own dues in 8 months and had been embezzling HOA funds. The receipts were right there transferred to her own account. When she tried to buy concrete dissolving chemicals, Jake tipped us off. The neighborhood met united like never before. Mrs. Cecilia filed criminal complaints. Mr. Washington, a veteran, organized evidence. Rodriguez's family contacted the local news. Savannah, my daughter, got her acceptance letter to State U with a full scholarship proof that you can't destroy people by attacking their homes if their spirit's still strong. Saturday, 9 a.m., emergency HOA meeting. The whole neighborhood turned out along with a local news crew. Officer Martinez and Detective Sullivan sat in the front row, notepads ready. Bethany, no longer in her designer armor, arrived late, visibly shaken. We played the footage, read the financial records, shared the testimonies. Detective Sullivan announced ongoing criminal investigations, embezzlement, extortion, harassment. The news reporter stepped in with the bombshell Bethany had done this in 2 other neighborhoods. Settlements, hush money, a pattern of abuse. The vote to remove her was overwhelming. Her own relatives were the only no votes. Mrs. Cecilia was elected interim president tasked with rebuilding trust and transparency. As Bethany tried to protest, Detective Sullivan cut her off. Read her rights slapped on the cuffs. You could feel the weight lift off the whole room. 2 years later, I'm standing in my driveway, Savannah packing for her sophomore year. That concrete trash can's still there now, surrounded by flowers, used as home base by neighborhood kids. Bethany got 18 months in county jail, 3 years probation, lost her Lexus, lost everything she'd tried to use against us. The restitution payments funded a new playground built by Mr. Rodriguez. Property values shot up, neighborhood potlucks became a thing. Jake sells reinforced trash cans across the county now. Funny, isn't it? All that power undone by a trash can anchored in bedrock. Savannah once told me, "You made the weakest point the strongest." And that's the lesson right there. When you fight bullies, sometimes you don't have to outmuscle them, just out-engineer them. Build something stronger than their ability to hurt you. You know what still bothers me? Bethany had done this before. Driving out families, always finding new targets. Power like hers only works as long as nobody pushes back, as long as people stay isolated. The moment you start documenting, start standing together, everything changes. She met her match not just in me, but in a whole neighborhood, deciding enough was enough. So let me ask you, what's the most ridiculous thing your HOA or a neighborhood Karen has ever tried to pull? Drop your story in the comments. I bet some of you have tales that'll make mine look tame. And hey, if you learned something about standing up for yourself, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about fighting back against the real villains next door. Sometimes the best defense is just building something they can't break, no matter how hard they try.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.